Yeah.
So you look back on this religion shit and you're like, the Kingdom Hall is a cool name for a building. It's better than shul.
It is. And the whole idea of believing that the world is going to end at Armageddon, I mean, it's fucking metal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We don't have that.
It is.
We don't have that. We get some fucking rabbi with curly fries fucking coming down and saying, hey, we're ready. Lame.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, lame. Nobody's dead. No rapture.
So when you, like,
what if people...
This special is...
Yeah, sorry. I'm saying, if I know the rapture's coming, I'm tying ropes to every fucking Christian who I think is good, and then just locking them in there. Locking them in. They get pulled up, they're only going so high, and then we're going to fucking rappel right up with them. And then cut it, and just zoom it up. You're going to be wrong. You're like, Obama.
Like some environmentalist chaining himself to a sequoia.
You're like, Obama's good, and then like the rapture comes, and he's like not rising. Like, what happened? You're like, drone deaths. And he's like, oh, right. But you got me on that. A lot of murders, I guess, technically. I legalized gay marriage. You're like, yeah, that's a negative. And he's like, fuck.
Yeah. Like you said, no butt fucking.
Yeah.
God hates butt fucking.
Yeah.
Universal to all. So, but like, you know, I have everything that I learned as a kid, you know, there's brainwashing. It's just relentless brainwashing. It just gets in there.
It gets in there.
Believe it or not, 20 years later, there's honestly very little that I remember. I kind of find myself questioning their doctrines and principles all the time. And I'm wondering, like, this special is extremely educational. Like, you are really debunking a lot of myths. You are mapping out their belief system. It really is. It's you learn a lot about Judaism in this special. Did you truly remember all that shit, or did you have to take kind of a deep dive again and re-immerse yourself?
I had to re-immerse myself. It was an interesting process. I guess not many people would understand this, except you. No offense, George.
Yeah.
I did have to re-immerse myself. I found out some things I was wrong about. I just assumed were correct because, you know, the highest level Rebbeim, the highest level scholars know 98% of it, you know? So I had some shit I learned when I was 12 that I was like, no, you didn't quite get that story right, you know?
Right.
I'm an American. I don't know all the filibuster rules, you know? I kind of know them. If I had to explain it to a non-American, I'd get it 80% right, you know? So, I had to re-immerse myself. And the hard part was, some of it, I had rabbis showed up at my shows. My friend, David Mark, my last religious friend from yeshiva, he showed up and he told me, he was like, the sex to a sheet, that's wrong. That's a myth. And I'm like, no way, man, you're wrong. He goes, I'm telling you it's a myth. And I'm like, no way, it's a real thing. And then I had to look at, that's in the joke that I was like, I thought it was true until I was doing the special. But the laws themselves, I had to re-immerse myself. So every time I saw, like, you know, all the Jews walking around on a weekday, I'm like, oh, today's a holiday. And I'd explain to my non-Jewish friends, like, what day is today? And I'd start talking about it. And I'd be like, remember it. And they're like, why do you do this? I'm like, oh, it's because you're celebrating this thing. And they're like, why is that? I'm like, oh, yeah, well. And then as you're like rethinking it, you start to remember things and you start to re-examine it. The hard part was, I've never done stand-up like this before, where like I'm not living as me. I'm living through the eyes of a dead guy. That guy's not around anymore.
Wow.
So it was a very lonely process. It wasn't me now, my feelings now. My feelings about this thing, but this thing's not in my life, you know?
Right.
My feelings now about traffic, sure, okay, you know, I'll be angry at traffic, whatever, but like that guy's still alive who hates traffic, even though he doesn't drive anymore. It's like that guy's still alive. But this guy's not alive anymore. So I was living with a ghost for fucking 5 years. With no one to comment on except me.
It's like you really are. You have to kind of look at it objectively, and it's like it's a different person, and it's almost like you're telling a story of someone else. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and I don't know if I could have done it for a long time. I remember doing a joke about the Palestinian-Israeli conflict early on at the Comedy Store when I started comedy, and I had lived in Israel, I guess, for 4.5 years of college. Came right from Israel, so I mean, this was 5 years removed from living there, you know, not that long. And I started doing it, and it was like, you know, it's tough because the Jews feel that it's their land, the Palestinians feel it's their land, and they're both, you know, They both have good points. And then, you know, on one side, it's like they want peace. The other side, they're fucking animals. And they don't fucking like us. You know, and they're like, okay. There was just too much rage still there. So I wasn't removed enough from it. And now I'm more removed from it, so I can comment on it. I went through a hatred period. I don't know if you did that with religion. Every time I saw religious people, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. You're wasting your fucking life. And then eventually, you know, it started with agnosticism. Then it went to full atheism when I grew up a little bit. And then it went to like a don't care thing where I'm like irrelevant, you know? It's kind of like, what do you feel the best system of government is? I'm like, I don't care. I don't vote. I don't care. So it's like, it's like, I don't know what, they need another term. Agnostic, atheist, and like, what, guys, get the fuck away from me. You know, was 9/11 an inside job? Was it a terrorist attack? Or like, I don't give a shit. I never went to that part of New York. You know, just, there's a reason to go, a great memorial. There was no reason to go before. So it
never went to that part of New York. The whole tip, snip it off.
Yeah.
Circumcise the lower portion of Manhattan entirely.
Successful Jews, and that's about it.